Good morning, everyone. Welcome. We're going to be talking about enterprise-grade big data in the cloud running on our container platform. Today, we'll cover the following topics. We'll cover what it takes to deploy in a multi-cloud world. We'll talk about quickly about our collaboration with Google and where the Cisco Container Platform plays a very key fundamental role. Then we'll switch over. I'll give you a quick peek at product that we went GA with a couple of weeks back. I'll show you a demo on what it takes to install an application on it. That application, that use case is going to be from SAP. It's the Big Data Hub running on the container platform. And then Dr. Lars Denneker will then walk you through an example of what they run on the Big Data Hub. And then I'll cover a bit of how do we scale up and down using a container platform, applications like the Big Data Hub, and give you a sense of how that looks like. So please do provide a feedback here in Webex Teams. And getting started, it's a multi-cloud world. Many of the customers that Barbara and I and the rest of the team have been talking to over the last few days in our suites on top, we have about 30 customer meetings, pretty much across the board. All of them are looking to go hybrid and to look at multi-cloud. And they're beginning to get their strategy started. They're looking to Cisco to help guide them as they make these decisions and what the trade-offs are as they're moving to a multi-cloud world. When Cisco defines multi-cloud, we mean a place where our customers are looking to deploy their services and applications in 2 or more clouds, where one of those clouds is a public cloud. And what we're seeing more and more are that our customers are looking to deploy in multiple public clouds as well as on-prem. Now, as you look at the scenario where they're deploying across multiple clouds, you have a couple of challenges. What's the common deployment layer that our customers should and could adopt as they take their applications and deploy? And then number 2, data is going to be distributed all across these clouds. What are you going to provide, or what can they use to bridge data lakes that are in public cloud and on-prem, right? You have stuff on-prem for compliance, for privacy. It's a governance requirement. But then how do you seamlessly marry that with additional information, layer on additional information from the public space, from the public cloud space? And we'll talk about that in our use case with SAP. First, I'm going to talk about our collaboration with Google. About a year back, Google reached out to Cisco and started this whole conversation around, hey, we believe there are a lot of customers interested in going hybrid. They want to be able to take their applications and run them in a microservices manner, both on-prem as well as in the public cloud, be able to burst up and down. And we value Cisco as a very strategic company in enterprise space because you guys understand what it takes to support enterprise-level SLAs, enterprise-level support. Cisco has an award-winning support structure with TAC, where we can front-end a lot of the requirements of customers up front, and TAC will follow the issues down to resolution behind the scenes. And then secondly, we have a very skilled and experienced sales force. We have decades of experience managing and driving new workloads into enterprise customers, so they felt it's a great partnership. So really quickly around the solution stack, this is the solution stack that we are building. It consists of a portfolio of products from our multi-cloud portfolio from Cisco, married with a couple of services that Google is providing. Now, on the left-hand side is the on-premise piece. And on the right-hand side is the public cloud piece with the Google Compute Platform. On the left-hand side piece is the container platform that we just launched. It's running on VMware today and on Hyperflex. And the reason why we chose VMware and Hyperflex initially for the on-premise piece, because we realized a lot of our customers are running, enterprise customers are running their workloads in a bimodal IT format. They're running a large number of applications are legacy. They want to have a single platform on which they can bring up their legacy applications, as well as experiment and start building out some of those applications for the cloud space. And we saw that VMware had the largest install base, plus it was the platform of choice for our hyperconverged platform, so we decided to start with that first. The second thing we learned from our customers is that not only are they looking to go hybrid, but they're also looking to go hyperconverged to manage their TCO. And hyperconverged there gives them the added benefit of dynamic resource allocation on the fly. So we provide compute and storage on a Hyperflex platform. And in the case of big data, being able to provide stateful storage to applications that require it is kind of awesome. And the way we do it in our container platform, we do offer stateful storage through Hyperflex, flex volume drivers. And in the future, we're looking to provide it in a dynamic fashion. So whenever you spin up clusters of containers, you'll automatically have persistent storage associated. So that's on the on-prem side. It runs on either you have an ACI network or you could have a non-ACI. We provide a container networking overlay called Contiv. It's open source based that creates the connectivity to your underlying networking elements. And then now as you move towards a hybrid cloud, then the next step customers look at is, okay, I've got up my container clusters. I'm deploying multiple applications on-premise. But now I need to orchestrate these applications. I want to be able to move them from one cloud to another. What do I use? Well, we provide our cloud management platform, Cloud Center, to help do that. Next thing is application monitoring. What do I use to monitor my applications? Well, we provide App Dynamics running in GCP. So now you could have application monitoring both in the public cloud as well as on-prem pretty seamlessly. And you could set thresholds by which you could have App Dynamics and alerts to Cloud Center, and Cloud Center can take appropriate action. If your applications are getting overloaded on-prem, and you have noisy neighbors, and you're running out of resources, now you could have an alert being raised by App Dynamics to Cloud Center, and Cloud Center can then orchestrate and spin up more instances in public cloud.
And App Dynamics, you said, runs in the
Yeah, it runs on GCP. So one of the this is a key initiative in a multi-cloud portfolio, which is building and managing a hybrid cloud. And when we select these products, these products on the right-hand side, they have to run in multiple public clouds. These products run in pretty much all three public clouds, right? So we are thinking this through all the way, right? It's not just the first step of getting our customers democratized on-premise with easy-to-run turnkey Kubernetes. It's like, okay, next step, how do they get onto the public cloud in a very robust fashion? And help them deploy their application with confidence. Now, the interesting thing is we are also adopting Kubernetes quite rapidly. We see Kubernetes as the common deployment platform of choice I spoke to you earlier about. It's being adopted across all three public clouds. It's even adopted by Ali Cloud. They're all certified. They're all Kubernetes certified, which means you run the set of tests. And Cloud Center and App Dynamics also have introduced support for Kubernetes. At KubeCon last month, both made announcements. So now, with your Cloud Center, if you have a container platform running on-premises, or you have do-it-yourself Kubernetes, or you have OpenShift or any other variant of Kubernetes running, it will be able to talk to the standardized APIs and spin up containers now in addition to VMs. That's the big change, right? Same thing with App Dynamics. Now they can really run inside containers too and monitor applications. Okay, now you've got your containers up on-prem, you've orchestrated them, you're monitoring them. How do you secure the traffic that's flowing between on-prem and public cloud? Well, we offer two products there. There's the CSR 1K, so you can set up these dedicated VPN tunnels on-prem as well as on-premises as well as in the public cloud. And then we also provide StealthWatch Cloud. We have agents running on-premises. We also have it running in GCP. But in GCP, it runs in an agentless fashion. So you don't have to run the agents in each of the containers and get charged for it. It just looks at the flow logs, VPC flow logs directly. And it's able to monitor for any bad stuff happening. Because the other thing our customers tell us is, great, you're helping me get to the hybrid cloud, but now I'm kind of worried. There's so much of hacking going on. How do I ensure that nothing bad is following my traffic back on premises? And so we offer these two services to help there. Then on the lower layer, we have Google providing Apigee, which is a company they purchased. And Apigee helps in lift and shift of legacy applications. So it helps in providing a shim layer of APIs that customers who are thinking about which applications to move to public cloud can use this service, run their application in public cloud, performance measure it, and see if it even makes sense to go and re-architect that application. There could be applications running on-prem that are missing services. For example, you may have an ERP application running on your local data lake, and you're missing an image recognition piece. And rather than develop it yourself, you could use the open service broker from Google, which is a kind of a directory of services. You can discover services running in GCP and then subscribe to it. And we have demos down in our booths that actually show that happening pretty seamlessly. And finally, all of this runs on an open service mesh. How many of you have heard of Istio? Pretty sure most of you have heard of it, right? That's a key element in this whole hybrid cloud story. It starts off with our Google partnership, but Istio is open source. It can extend to other public clouds too. And the key benefit of Istio is that it provides a way to load balance your traffic very seamlessly. First of all, it provides unprecedented visibility into your traffic flow. And it also lets you load balance your traffic between a multi-tenant environment between on-prem and public cloud. So we see that really taking off in the next 6 to 8 months. And you heard our CEO, Chuck Robbins, talk about it yesterday a number of times with Diane Green. This is pretty much a big deal. So Cisco is working with Google and IBM, and we are contributing back to it. So any questions so far on the stack that we have built on hybrid cloud? As an example, does it make sense, right? Pretty much all the customers we talk to, this really makes a lot of sense to them. And we also have partners we are working with to help those customers, onboard these services and try them out. Yeah.
Quick question. So I see App Dynamics in here. Have you guys included tetration and the ability for tetration?
Great question. Yeah, that's something that we are looking to add on the on-premises side. They also have a SaaS offer where they run it in public cloud too. So yes, we are looking to add that to our list. Yeah. All right, so let's talk about the container platform. So what's really driving all this move to the hybrid cloud and multi-cloud? Well, we believe from the customers we're talking to and analysts, it's all about application development and deployment speed. Speed. We need to get there fast. From a business angle, it's all about, okay, I need to get there fast, but I need to do it in a very robust manner. I need to have it up a lot amount of time, so high availability is very important there. From a dev standpoint, customers have their developers working on the latest open source, and they want to be able to provide them that environment so that they can continue to innovate and focus on coding rather than worrying about infrastructure underneath, also managing infrastructure. From an operator standpoint, the IT guys, they're looking to sort of try and unify all of these developer silos because every developer right now is empowered to go and subscribe and download the software they want and run. But then how do you ensure that your security policies are being implemented and enforced properly across all these silos? And then managing all these silos is also very difficult. So they really want a way to, they want a single platform that they can bring all their developers onto together. And it becomes more of a shared responsibility model there where everybody is working towards the same common goals. So these are some of the key attributes that we hear from our customers, and these are the main personas that we are also building our platform around. So what is this container platform we have built? It's based on 100% upstream Kubernetes. We're not adding any extensions. There's no forking. We're using the same open standard APIs that Kubernetes provides. We certify it. So right now it's certified to 1.10. That's the latest release of Kubernetes. We're also we're doing full lifecycle management of all the Kubernetes components. We're also adding other open source components, the best of open source components like logging with Elasticsearch, and forwarding with the Fluentd, visualization of logs with Kibana, and then monitoring with Prometheus. Also, these services are what's running in GCP. And what we've discovered is that our customers, a lot of them, either they adopt OpenShift just because there's no other option from a PaaS standpoint, or they go and do it themselves. And in a do-it-yourself environment, it's very challenging to go and update all of these open source components, validate them, make sure that they're all up to date and working with all the right security patches. So what Cisco is doing with the container platform is providing a turnkey package solution. It's software only, where customers can install, bring up, and then manage it on their own. So it's a container management platform. It's not a PaaS. It's a container management platform. And down the road, of course, we'll be adding more and more features. But we're adding an integration with storage and compute. We're adding integration for networking. I talked to you about Contiv. All of these pieces are actually curated. We have a quarterly release cycle that is synchronized with upstream Kubernetes. So our next version that we release in Q3 will be synchronized with 1.11. But in between those releases, we do plan to have monthly releases where we'll be releasing patches and features from upstream to our customers. So they're able to move fast at the speed of open source.
So on the container host, what are you doing security-wise? Are you using SE Linux or AppArmor or none of the above?
So we haven't implemented SE Linux yet. Right now we're using Ubuntu as the host OS from Canonical, and we're just using whatever defaults they have there. But we're looking to seeing if we need to run additional security layers. We do offer, the way the product is offered is in an OVA format because it's running on vSphere. So we do security scan all the components of it. For runtime, we are looking to add runtime security scanners. So we're talking to people in industry there. On the OS level, we're still figuring out what's the right approach.
Okay.
So we're looking at it in multiple layers. Because there is a bit of a performance overhead when you run SE Linux, but I think it's well worth it.
There's more of a performance overhead with AppArmor than SE Linux.
With AppArmor? Okay.
Yeah. So we have some requirements where SE Linux is a strict requirement, and anything that we do with containerization or virtualization has to use SVirt.
Okay.
Which uses MCS for the the process isolation, and also inside the containers, running them in user namespaces instead of the root namespace as well. So.
Okay. No, I understand. So one of other things we do with isolation, we can use Contiv and apply policy-based isolation. You can create whitelists and sort of separate out your multi-tenancy.
Which works for network.
Yes.
Right,
yes.
but it doesn't work for process and memory isolation.
So that's a good point too, and we are beginning to collaborate with Intel there. So we're doing two things with Intel. Number one, we're trying to performance tune these containers. One way of that is by exposing more of the underlying platform. So if applications can see what they can accelerate on, that's one way. The other way is, like we mentioned, what can we do with memory isolation, with encryption. So with Hyperflex, we do have RESTful at-rest encryption. But then what do we do with in-memory execution? How do we secure? So we're working with them to better align with what they're planning on the platform side.
So does that include working with them on clear container support as well?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So
we have started the conversation, and when we get back, we're going to have more detailed working sessions. We have worked with them in the past on the OpenStack side. We did a lot of security tuning and performance tuning with OpenStack VMs. We want to replicate that on containers.
Okay. And then are you working with Google as well on supporting either a KubeVirt or the gvisor support?
Yeah, that came out about a month back. Google announced it. So I flagged it immediately to our engineering team, and that's in the list of security aspects they're looking at. Yeah, definitely. So one of the things with the container platform that really interested SAP was we want to provide a very similar experience to GCP, but on-prem. So if a developer is developing in GCP, he can do it on-prem similarly. His write once, run anywhere, right? So part of that is how do we ensure that we are close enough to GCP from a feature standpoint. Right. And then gvisor, if it's offered on GCP, we definitely do want to also replicate that, something like that on-prem too. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, so the problems that we are looking to solve, number one is for operators, IT operators, it's being able to have them automate repetitive tasks. So if they have CI/CD that's running across these multiple silos, well, now you could use our standardized APIs and create like a Jenkins process flow where you could spin up containers, test. Once they pass the test, then you tear them down and you deploy into staging, and then you go to production. For developers, we provide them all of the native dashboards, so we're not doing any shim layers. We have a very simple home view for operators to manage the clusters, but from there, developers can spin up the Kubernetes dashboards they're used to, and they can operate in that same cockpit. Similarly with Prometheus, similarly with all of the other open source tools we're using, we have a way to cross-launch it from the home screen, so everything is available to them. They don't have to log in in different screens. And then finally, it's support. We realized that, especially in the case of SAP's customers, as they're looking to deploy Kubernetes on-prem, you have all these different components, and you have all these hardware components also to worry about. Providing them a single stack and a single vendor they can pick up the phone and call anytime, who guarantees that they will resolve all issues down to resolution, is pretty compelling. Especially as they're trying to design their applications and re-architect their applications, they don't want to worry about, hey, how am I going to manage the platform on which I'm developing these? It gives them a lot of peace of mind that they're being backed by the best in the business with Cisco, and they can go ahead and develop with confidence.
So that's support for deployment and everything.
Everything. So even host OS, so we front-end it. And level 2 support is by the BU, so Cloud Business Unit. Level 3 and level 4 are by Canonical and with Google. So TAC will triage it behind the scenes, and then they'll manage it where it needs to go, make sure it's resolved, and then feedback to the customer. Customer only deals with TAC. So we offer solution support. It's a software-only PID, 1, 3, 5-year subscriptions. You can buy it standalone if you have brownfield, or you could buy it in a SmartPlay bundle with HyperFlex. You have flexibility. And then in Q3, we're adding additional hybrid cloud features. We're adding an interface to Istio in that release. And we'll be doing more integration with Data Hub at that time. So before I go into the use case, I just wanted to give you guys a quick view of what the interface looks like. So this is just the installation part. We're just installing Data Hub on CCP. And what I'm showing you here is it's a wizard-driven flow. It's just 4 simple, easy steps where a customer can provide some data information, basic information, to query vSphere for the right resources. We're just setting up the cluster name. We're going to select the right resource pool, and then select the right network here, and select the right HyperFlex storage. So we provide 2 OVA files. That's it, 2 images that you download from our CCO site, and then you can bring up within vSphere. That's all it takes. The customer needs to just bring in their enterprise license. And then they start with a tenant image. They deploy the tenant image. Once they deploy a tenant image, it starts cloning from the tenant image, and you'll see that happening after we finish the 4th step. But here you are actually setting the worker node and master node memory and CPU allocations here. Now, right now, this is all done upfront, but we're looking to add down the road. Once you've allocated this, can you go back and dynamically change? That's something we're working on for future releases, but right now it's done upfront. So right now we're saying 1 master and 4 workers. We're going to review the items that we have selected. We click submit, and now, as you can notice, it's a very simple home screen. This is the operator home screen, and you're going to start deploying, provisioning these nodes. So you'll see them provisioning, and behind the scenes in vSphere, you'll notice that we take the tenant image. We're going to now clone the master and worker nodes from a tenant image, and then create the requested cluster. Our control plane runs in a 3 VM mode for high availability, so it's 1 VM per server. So we're looking at minimum 4 servers to start off with, and you can deploy the data plane on the 4th server. So you can see here all the Data Hub workers that have been created. It's finishing provisioning right now. You notice we're running the latest version of Kubernetes. Okay, so now the container cluster is ready. The next step we're going to do is we're going to log in there. We're going to just click in, and then we're going to just verify that we have all of them are up, all of them are ready. Next, we're going to go and download the token, and launch the Kubernetes dashboard from there, where you can start operating easily. So it's pretty straightforward. This lets the developer now, for example, access the Kubernetes dashboard, and then he can start operating his cluster in more detail. So as you can see here, we're providing native Kubernetes dashboards, and you can see the different worker nodes that are running here. So the next step here is we're going to export the kube config. This is all standard procedure. Once you export the kube config and you get access to the environment, we're going to next start downloading the Data Hub from AWS. We're going to download it on premises, and we're going to install it. We're just sitting to a directory, and we decided to install, right? It's pretty fast, and you'll see once it finishes. So this tells us that it's done. And the next step now is running Data Hub in the container cluster. So you'll notice here that if you move down here, you see all the runtime, the Spark runtime, the Voda runtime also running.